Hello and welcome. This is class number 29 of the UPSC Mains Answer Writing Initiative, a place where we are trying to simplify UPSC Mains answer writing for all of you. And I'm so glad to see a lot of you participating and sending me your answers as well. We are almost at the end of discussing all the questions of 2023. From tomorrow onwards, you will see that the homework that I give you will be not from the 2023 or 2022 papers. The question that I will give you for homework from tomorrow onwards will be about the topics that are in the news. So you have to depend upon your current affairs knowledge and make an answer. So it's starting to get slightly tricky from tomorrow onwards. So please make sure that you keep yourself regular over here. Also, if you want to download the PDF of all these lectures, you can join the Telegram channel. The link is in the description of this video. Apart from that, if you have still not hit the subscribe button, please do that right away. It will be extremely appreciated. If you are new here and you have still not written any of the answers, I have a suggestion for you. Go and see class number 1 of this series. I am pasting the entire playlist link in the description of the video. In the very first class, we discussed about how to write the answers, how to structure the answer, what to write in the introduction, in the main body, in the conclusion. So if you are someone who is very new to answer writing, who has no idea how and where to begin, this is a good way forward. Just go ahead and click on that link of the playlist, see class number 1 and see if you are able to answer questions from there. Now, let's start with what we have today. Today again we have taken up a question from 2023 GS2 paper. It was a question from international relations. The question is, the expansion and strengthening of NATO and a stronger US-Europe strategic partnership works well for India. What is your opinion about this statement? Give reasons and examples to support your answer. So basically they're asking you two things. They're asking you, number 1, strengthening of NATO and the close relationship of US and Europe is actually a good thing for India. It works well for India. You have to show how. Means you have to give real examples. That in this field it works well for India, in that field works well for India. That is basically what you have to write in the main body. So main body will have two parts. First part mainly about how strengthening of NATO has been helpful for India. Second part, how about US-Europe relationship has been good for India. And then we will add one part here, ideally, about the problems that still remain unresolved. As I told you earlier, in order to have a much more holistic answer, you have to give the other side of the story as well. Not in as many words, but at least add a few points here. So in the main body, we will write about 1, strengthening of NATO, its impact. 2nd, US-Europe relationship and its impact. And 3rd, we'll write about some issues that still remain unresolved. So how to start with the introduction part? Now in the introduction part, a few people may think about writing about NATO, how it came into being in 1945. But the point is, if you actually write about, let's say, NATO, US-Europe relationship, that is not the entire point of the question. See, if the question has the word NATO in it, doesn't mean you will just close your eyes and write down definition of NATO in the beginning to cover your answer. That is not a good beginning, because your introduction has to be on the theme of the question itself. The theme of the question is how these things impact India. So your introduction cannot have just random information about NATO or generic information about NATO. Your answer has to be very much related to what the question is. So the question is about its impact on India. That is how your introduction also has to be. Now, I have seen a lot of copies, I've checked a lot of copies over these past few months or so. I have seen a lot of you improving over time, which is great to see. But one of the issues that I do see is a very generic form of answer writing. So rather than being generic, rather than just giving very generic statements, just ask yourself this. The statement that you are writing, is it a statement of someone who is preparing for UPSC exam? Or will the same person or will the same statement be given by a common man on the streets? If the common man on the street will say the same thing and you're writing the same thing exactly, then there's no difference between you and him and you will not get good marks. Write whatever you write from the point of view of UPSC aspirant to show that yes, you have read about this. So in introduction, we will write about how we are embracing the concept of a multilateral world where NATO and European Union are the centers of power. And this is where we'll include India. India also is looking forward to playing a major role in the power center or in the power table at the world, and we will benefit from a strengthened NATO and US-Europe relationship. So something like that can be an intro. As I said, in this situation, just writing about NATO, not connecting it to India, will not be a great way to begin. This is a better way rather to begin, to actually be connected to what the question was. So we'll first talk about how NATO expansion will help India. You all know NATO is mainly a military alliance. The idea of NATO, when it was formed after World War II, was Europe, US, Canada, Western European countries, they came together that we will protect each other. If an attack happens on any one of us, we'll all come to help the other party. So basically, how India can be benefited from NATO, it has to be militarily only. You can't write anything else. You can't write about sustainable environment or climate change, etc. It has to be specifically on military. So on military terms, how can we actually take help or benefit from expansion or strengthening of NATO? Their counter-terrorism expertise, as we have seen in operations such as in Afghanistan after 9/11 attacks. Support for international norms. So NATO has been supporting India's policies in Indo-Pacific, specifically like India's Sagar vision. Capacity building and training for our military, defense technology and cooperation. So if you see, all these points are related to military. The reason is that NATO itself is a military alliance. So if you write here any point which is not regarding military, that point will not make any sense here. That is where reading the question is very, very important. Understanding the question is important. Understand the fact that here we are talking about NATO, which is a military alliance, and we are not supposed to write anything else here. Second part was how Europe, not EU rather, Europe, US close ties are beneficial for India. Now, this is where you can expand beyond defense or military. This is where you can write about other aspects as well, where we can take help from these two powerhouses. Climate change, environmental cooperation, exchange of technology. We have seen, for example, the International Solar Alliance was launched by India along with France. We have seen countries such as France being very open to sharing their technology with us and helping us with making India prospects. Global health initiatives, development of vaccines, etc. This is where we can take expertise from US and Europe. Technological innovations. India, for example, is a part of the IPEF launched by the US. India, US have a pact for transfer of 80% jet technology by value this year. So again, these are not the only pointers which you can write. Depending upon whatever point you think at that point of time, whichever point you remember, you can write that. This is how it will benefit us if US-Europe relationship is strengthened. And again, just be careful what to write in NATO. Don't repeat the points here. Repetition of point is never considered good. Repetition of point is usually seen as a sign that you don't have enough content to write and you are just expanding it when it is not required. So don't repeat it, just write new points and you will get to have pretty good marks. Then we will share some concerns that remain unresolved. As I told you, to have a holistic answer, just write the other side as well. There are challenges for India. India is still not saying that we are only with US or only with Europe. We still maintain good relationship with Russia, good relationship with other parts of the world as well. We still have to maintain that. For example, we still have gone ahead and bought S-400 missile defense system. Sometimes at the world stage, at WTO especially, we seem to be standing with China and against US and Europe. So India still has to play that balancing act for a long, long time. Regional dynamics. NATO may not like what is happening here because, see, a lot of times you will see America and NATO, they take decisions with regards to, let's say, Pakistan, which India would not appreciate. The reason is that for US and for EU or for European countries, Pakistan is a very crucial country because of its strategic location just next door to Afghanistan. So how they react and how they make policies with respect to Pakistan may not really be suitable for India. Despite India's frosty relationship with Pakistan, we see that Americans have been helping Pakistan, sending aid, etc., and they don't really stop. So that is also a big challenge that remains unresolved. Trade and economic considerations, we have seen time and time again, there have been some issues in US-India trade. When Donald Trump was a president of the US, he was kind of forcing us to reduce our subsidies, to give import subsidies or to reduce the import duties on a lot of American products like Harley Davidson bikes, etc. So those issues still remain unresolved. We still have, for example, at the WTO issues such as sugar subsidy. Recently, question marks have been raised by US and by European countries against India for giving what they say is sugar subsidy much more than what is allowed as per the WTO agreement on agriculture. So all these are concerns that have still remained unresolved. This is what you can write, and then we'll conclude here. Overall, India stands to benefit from strengthening of NATO and the US-Europe relationship if we can tackle the challenges. This is a very generic kind of a conclusion, playing very safe, just summarizing whatever we have written, and this is how we can conclude this answer. Now time for your homework. This is a homework for you. Sea is an important component of the cosmos. Discuss in the light of the above statement the role of IMO in protecting environment and enhancing maritime safety and security. This was again a question asked in 2023 paper. Reminding you, from tomorrow the homeworks are going to get slightly tricky because they will be based on current affairs topics that are in the news and not from previous years. So you will have to bring your best game forward. If you want, you can send these answers to me. I'll be happy to give you a feedback within a few days. I'm getting increasingly more number of answers, so the time that I'm taking to return back is slightly more, but I do appreciate your patience. Again, if you have not hit the subscribe button so far, do hit that, and I'll see you tomorrow at 7 p.m. Thank you so much. Bye-bye. Jai Hind.